You're listening to Fireside Chats Without the Fires podcast, where customer experience enthusiasts are inspired by our weekly CX practitioners and thought leaders who share their insights and knowledge. And now, here are your hosts, Neal Toff and Paul Catherall.
Fireside Chats Without the Fires. We have a special, unique guest and a unique opportunity. Fireside Chats Without the Fires is partnering with SOCAP. Many of you know who SOCAP are. SOCAP members, SOCAP community. Welcome to this. We are joining hands with SOCAP to help build some excitement and enthusiasm for the upcoming annual event, the Emerging Horizons Event that SOCAP is organizing October 17 to 20 of this year, 2021, at the Wyndham Grand Hotel in Clearwater Beach, Florida. And we are joined by our keynote speaker at the event, Waldo Waldman. Waldo, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Great to be here, Neal.
It's great to have you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for spending a few minutes of time with us. For those that don't yet know Waldman, he is the keynote speaker of the Emerging Horizons event. Waldo is the Hall of Fame keynote speaker, executive leadership coach, fighter pilot, New York Times bestselling author, expert in resilience, teamwork, and trust. And if you're not following him on social media, particularly LinkedIn, you're not doing yourself a favor. Do yourself a favor and follow him. Waldo, what do we have to look forward to in your keynote address to the SOCAP community?
I think it's about connection and collaborating with today's precarious world of uncertainty and change. So much is evolving and causing maybe a little uncertainty and fear. And I think by coming together with other SOCAP professionals, you'll have some ideas and insights that you may not have had when you showed up. There's a lot of questions on technologies and change. When you show up, you shake hands, you ask questions, and admit your insecurities. That's when solutions bubble up. And it's also a great time to reconnect with human beings, not just from the head, but from the heart. And that's what I plan on doing when I open up the program and create a great environment for folks to collaborate.
Thank you. We so look forward to it. I'm really curious, and I'm going to bet that our other colleagues in consumer affairs are also curious. What does a decorated member of the armed services, a former fighter pilot, how does that connect into customer care, consumer affairs, the contact center? How do we relate the two?
One of the things I learned as a fighter pilot, flying in combat, competition, stress, change, uncertainty, fear, was the ability to connect with others, peers, wingmen, men and women who you trust, who you can take your mask off and come to for help. And ultimately, a fighter pilot and any peak performer, any leader in their industry understands that creating environments with people who you feel comfortable going to for help, and then being the type of wingman or wingman where others feel comfortable coming to you for help, is the key to success in life. Because we may not have the big picture. We're going to deal with turbulence and missiles and change. Obviously, with COVID combat, that's a big deal right now. And so what I try to do is talk about the human behind the fighter pilot, the heart, not just the head, the blood, not just the muscle. And I reveal some of the things that I dealt with, overcoming panic attacks and fears in battle. My commanders who had the courage to put me in the right place, to give me feedback that I didn't necessarily want to hear but needed to hear, so that I could be a better leader, so that I, when I strap it to my jet and serve, could be more competent and courageous. And that's ultimately what we need to do as human beings today. We may not be flying in combat with fighter pilots and jets, but we have women, men and women, and most importantly, we're not doing it solo. We have others that are on our team who can help us and who we can help as well.
This is great. These are things that are so important in our community. We are on the front lines. We are under fire. We are sometimes with our backs against the wall. We need some strength and messaging and learnings how to continue to be better at doing those things. Sure. I'm so curious. Here's my final question. What do you know about consumer affairs and customer care? And there's no right answer, by the way. I'm just curious, do you know anything about this community? And it's such a unique world. It's a wonderful world for all of us that have been in it for so long. I'm curious as an outsider, what do you know about this world?
Well, it's really about nurturing those folks who pick up the phone, who buy your products on the internet, who you walk into a retail store, who serve the folks who are driving the revenue and the profitability of the organizations who are part of this. At the end of the day, the consumer creates change. The consumer builds the brand, reinforces it, or stifles it. It's a part of my experience when I was on Expedia yesterday, talking to a remote person from out of the country, to when I walked into a hotel in Vegas this past week when they didn't have my room available. I showed up at midnight and they didn't have the room available till 4 a.m. How they deal with that interaction with that frustrated customer is critical in creating the brand and elevating it, because you're just one click away to a bad review, and you're one relationship away from having a wingman, a wingmam on your team, a customer you serve internally, from saying, you know what, I don't like working with Neal. I'm going to go to a competitor next door after getting 2 or 3 years of training with your amazing company. Or I'm working extra hours. I'm dealing with a mom and dad who are suffering with COVID. My kids are homeschooled right now. My husband's in the hospital with COVID. You know what? I'm suffering a little bit, but because Neal connects with me as a human being, he understands me. We have trust. We have compassion and empathy. You're my customer and I'm yours, and I'm going to put in the extra hour. I'm going to push up the throttle. I'm going to be willing to get shot at today in today's precarious business world because of the relationship I have with you. And so that internal customer is also important, because when we pick up the phone, when somebody walks into our office, or we deal with folks in a retail or corporate environment, my ability to connect with you is often a byproduct of the relationships I have with my peers, my wingmen. And if we can create cultures and environments as leaders of trust, empathy, connection, and heart, then we'll be more courageous to shut our mouth when we want to go off on a customer who's disrespectful. It allows us to listen more, work harder, prepare more effectively, and ultimately create a better customer experience.
Outstanding. I'm ready to walk through a wall for you. I'm ready to listen. I'm ready to learn from you. And I think that our members and those that have registered and that are going to participate in this event are too. And those that have not yet registered, absolutely please do so. This is going to be a sensational event. Again, it is the SOCAP Emerging Horizons annual event, October 17 to 20, of course, of this year, 2021, at the Wyndham Grand Hotel in Clearwater Beach, Florida. We are going to do a second interview or second LinkedIn Live, most likely a little bit prior to the event. We'll ask you some more questions to get to know you a little bit better. I really look forward to it. Waldo, thank you so much for your time. You're going to do an amazing job, and we can't wait to welcome you with open arms.
Looking forward, Neal. Take care.
Thank you so much.
The episode is over, but the conversation continues. Please rate and review us in Apple Podcasts, post a comment, and subscribe to stay on the leading edge of customer experience. To get in touch or be a guest, follow us on Twitter @ChatsFires, or on LinkedIn, or in your podcast repository of choice. Thank you.